We spoke in the last section about candidates and what candidates are, being anyone who chooses to be attached to your organisation. The other types of people we talk about are applicants. Applicants are different to candidates. Applicants are those people who have actually chosen to apply for a job. They need a different level of communication. So the closer you come to following particular roles, when you look at your tracking, the more you're clustering around a particular job or particular job type, and in Clinch you can do that using the heat map feature, the more we know to make content relevant, specific to what you're looking at or what you are. Once you actually start applying for a job, you want that information to be more and more specific and channeled to that role, to that individual role. So it might be exactly who the manager's going to be, what that role's going to be, what the responsibility is. So more and more of what you see and you want to have communicated through the process is about two things. One is the role itself, giving you enough information to determine that you want to stay in the process, or equally that you want to opt out because that role isn't particularly for you. You want to go back to being a candidate. Now you've got the information on the particular role. As an applicant, you're not interested. The other part is communication through the process on actually what the process is. This is what applicants want. Candidates want to talk to people in the business. If I'm a developer, I want to talk to the developers who work for you. If I'm an accountant, I want to talk to the accountants who work for you. If I'm a receptionist who sits behind the desk in the lobby, I want to talk to other receptionists and other admin staff about what's the organisation like to work for, what are the people like to support. Once I want to actually become an applicant, that's when I want to communicate with recruiters. That's when I want recruiter content, because recruiter content is about process. This is the process. These are the things that are going to happen. And the more information we can provide on the process, including progress reports, the more information we can provide on this is what you're going to be required to do, the better the candidate experience. Candidate experience is becoming increasingly critical. I'm fortunate enough to be a judge in the European, UK and Ireland version of the Candies, the Candidate Experience Awards, an organisation started by Jeff Newman, Elaine Orler and Jerry Crispin in the United States, which is now in Europe and spreading across Europe through Germany and Netherlands and so on. And you can find that at candy.org, CANDEE.org. There's a white paper and research from candidates, and what the candidates are coming back with feedback is actually they don't want the process of getting a job to be easy. They want it to be hard. There's not an issue with it being hard. That creates a sense of achievement, and it was a job worth getting. But they expect to have a fair chance, and they want to have enough information to be able to make a decision. First of all, do I become an applicant and apply? And then when I do apply, what's going to happen and how important is that going to be? It might be a psychometric test, situation judgment test, could be anything. But actually looking at your communication to applicants when they go from that phase of saying, this is the job I'm interested in, I need very specific information about this role, about this job, about this hiring manager, about this person who's going to be interviewing me, and I need very specific information on process. Think of hiring as project management. There are tasks, there are people, there are timetables, and there are critical deadlines. What I want to have as an applicant is communication about that. What's going to happen next? How's it going to be judged? Am I still in the process? That's what I want to understand. So if you could gear your communication, candidates is the general comms about the company, becoming more and more specific around your areas of interest and the things you're looking at. The applicant process is much more around, this is this particular job, and this is what's going to happen. This is what's going to happen next. This is when it's going to happen. Because by providing a good candidate experience in which you're efficient and you communicate, the applicants that you offer are far more likely to accept, because the way in which you hire sets the benchmark for the way in which you're going to be as an organisation.